Good morning, everyone. This is Art Matters New York. We are today on Thursday with a quite large group. Cliff is here, Cy, Bode, Linda, Griggs, Alan, Barbara, Lowenstein, and Lydia Rubio, and Marie Adler. And we expect also to have Marcia Jaeger here. She sent also some pieces to look at. And Cy actually sent us also 2 pieces, which we probably just jump in now then. I have also maybe some small things to show. I was yesterday at the Art Basel. It's an art fair, you know, and I saw maybe just a couple of pieces which we could look at it because we talked about certain things like dripping or you know, dripping, how dripping plays a role in painting and how people handle it. And then also about repetitive stuff, which always, if you repeat something, it becomes beautiful. You know, it's the most simple, let's say, method to make something out of something, just to talk about it then. So I think everybody is fine, I think.
Yeah, did you, I'm sorry, I didn't hear if you said Linda and Alan are with us too.
Yes, did I say no? Did I miss that? Okay. Linda and Alan are here
awesome.
Too. Okay. Good, okay. So I'm gonna soon share the screen and we just start with the 2 new paintings with Cy Bode. Let me see. That's always a little bit, it's not really tricky, but takes some clicks. So, and share. Now, let me see if you can see then my thing. Yeah, it's blinking here. Yeah. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see if I have to make it.
This is something you saw at the fair?
No, that's Cy Bode.
Oh, okay.
Just here.
Oh, Cy, I like this a lot.
Look at that.
I think it could be at the art fair in Basel too, but it is not.
Aren't you kind?
It is not.
I thought it was.
Yeah. So Cy, tell us a little bit about this piece.
Well, as you know, I'm relatively new to abstract painting. And what I've noticed that I've started to do when I'm just starting out is I put in these structures. And it's almost like, and I don't know if there's no right or wrong, I suppose, but I'm wondering how effective they are. Because what I find myself doing is I tend to be painting like a part of it inside that structure as if it's a painting. And then I go to another part of the structure and I start painting in there. And I don't know if that looks like that's what I'm doing, or is it cohesive, or but I just keep going. And the other thing is, I'm not sure if when I stop and say it's done, that it actually works. So the last thing I want to say is that I am having some difficulty with putting marks on when I start to think too much. And I think, oh, I need to put some interesting marks in there rather than just allowing it to happen. So I'm, as a kind of a newbie, I'm not, I try to stay in the flow of it, but at some point I start being, it looks contrived. So
what I'm going to do is to show maybe the other piece as well, just that we see these two paintings, and so we can also make some comparisons, or and just to that people see that what we are talking about. Okay. This is the other piece.
Yeah.
These made at the same time, or they?
No, they were not made at the same time.
So which one's clear?
This one is newer.
Newer, okay.
Yeah, and this one I feel like at some point I started doing contrived markings because I thought, oh, I gotta put some markings in there. Do you know what I mean? Resisting doing that. I need to resist doing that.
So, Sai, would you like to talk about the last one, the newer one first, and then about this? Or
yeah, so this newer one, because again, you can see that I'm doing the same thing as I did in the other one, which is putting in these black structures, and then I start to paint within the structure. Even when I do a circle, I tend to start painting within the circle and then saying, oh, I gotta, add that color a little somewhere else. But I kind of am somewhere between, I think, being architectural and then being organic. Like there's structure, but there's so it's almost a
is this the newer painting, or is this the previous painting?
This one?
Yes.
Is it? I'm sorry.
Is it? This is the newer piece.
This is the newer one.
Okay, the newer piece. And how far are they in time?
I would say 6 months.
Oh.
Okay. And when you talk about structure, I'm very intrigued about what do you call structure? And you mentioned something of black marks.
Yes, when I start to paint, I find myself putting in these very, vertical, horizontal underpainting. And then I start painting and I find myself treating each section of the painting as if it's a painting all in itself. And
I was reading, I want to recommend this book, and I am really actually fascinated by it. It's a book about Helen Frankenthaler, and it talks about the process that she followed in making a painting, no? What you're saying of doing a structural gesture first or whatever, they mention in this book 2 ways, and that she approached painting with a white canvas or plain, empty canvas. One way was to make a gesture, one light line in charcoal, very like spontaneously in wherever the canvas was, whatever section of the canvas, and then responding to that a gesture all over the canvas. The other way was to start with a form or a shape next to the edges of the painting, and then resolve that as, a first gesture, then answering that with other things, no? Obviously, what I'm, I would like to show you the book. Is a huge book that has now a new publication. This is the old version that I got from the library. It's a huge volume, the most complete analysis of Ellen Frankenthaler, written by John Elderfield.
Could you spell that, please? Could you spell that word, that title of the author's name?
Wait, let me show you. I'll show you the... Here. Do you see it?
I do. Elderfield. Thank you.
Elderfield, yeah.
Yeah.
What happened?
Wasn't
What
John?
happens is that, you know, I'm a great admirer of her work, and this is the first time that I see, I have read my other books about her, the first time that I see an analysis of really the process that she followed, or the different processes that she followed, discussed with this guy.
That
So,
might be helpful for all of us.
Yeah.
so anyway, what I am trying to say is that maybe you should start, and this is a suggestion, to start with a lighter underpainting. By that I mean maybe using the old method of charcoal
Yeah.
with a line, 1, 2 lines or whatever, and then respond to that, because the black sort of it's too dominant, and then you go into it, or it's very controlling. I mean, you're saying yourself that you paint into
Yeah.
the circle, or you paint into the, no, the idea is to paint in different sections of the painting as you develop it, so
Mhm.
that it's freer and cohesive at the same time, no?
I agree. That's a great suggestion.
I just want to add that I don't totally agree with that, because I think what I see with these dark black, what you call architectural things, reminds me more of still lifes, where I'm reading like the tops of coffee cups, tables, even chairs, this red mark down at the bottom, that sort of thing. And I think those actually heavy black lines are contributing to what I think of as a very successful go at a painting. And it's also interesting that the previous piece has, even though it has those black lines, really looks more organic, like you said. And even though they're kind of structural. I like the way that it breaks up the canvas into a large vertical on one side and smaller verticals on the left-hand side. And this mark making is where you're scratching and the surface on the lower right there. As an abstraction, I think, and you said you were newbie to abstractions. It's actually really, terrific to look at.
Well, let me just add, if
A lot of energy.
I may add that in this case, I prefer this painting to the other. In my mind, it is more effective, and the use of the black here that shows through is very effective, because it makes, to me, there is a dialogue between the strict lines of the black architectural structure there and the loose yellow, mark there, which is after the blue, which is like they are talking to each other and they complement each other. So in this case, it works for me.
Yeah.
If I may to add something, I think very simple said, this one is more like semi-abstract in a way. It is abstract, but it's in a way, because it's like, the whole white piece around it, it makes it like an object almost already, like a machine, or I don't know what,
Yeah.
This is, of course, more abstract in a way, this thing here, It's like all over.
Yeah, I'm not seeing like in the other piece. I see more not landscape, but more still life sort of thing that I want to just make that like into something. I want to make it into a bowl, a chair, whatever. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like this interplay of in this piece, between the vertical and the curves and the circles.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, isn't that nice? So it has a very structural effect, which the way I think is, to me, more appealing than the other one, which doesn't suggest forms particularly.
You know, it's interesting that you said that you work within this black outlines thing, because when you zoom in on like certain areas like that, I'm seeing like, well, there's a painting. Well, look, there's another painting.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That was already with the last, when the last two pieces you showed, Sai, it's like, it's not really an overload, but you put a lot of stuff in those paintings.
A lot of stuff.
As Alan just pointed out, look, there is another painting, there's another painting, there's another painting, It's like, I'm not saying it's not concentrated, it's very concentrated, but maybe, I don't know, maybe you can make maybe 10 painting out of this painting, just put, you don't have to put everything in one painting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, it's like it's quite it's a lot of stuff going on, and I look at even here, look at these dots here, it's like
That's lovely. Look at that. Yeah.
of course it's lovely, but in a way it's almost lost somehow, but you know what I'm saying? I don't know, maybe not.
I'd like to ask a question. Sai, do you mind if, and I hate to do this, but do you mind if we tilt it?
You can do, yeah, I've tilted that in all different directions.
Tilt it one turn to the left?
Yeah, I can just do. You mean like this? That would be. That was to the left.
We do that all the time.
Yeah, for me, I'm having a problem with, as Lydia was saying, this conversation is I'm drawn too much to the left, and I'm missing a lot of the really beautiful marks that you have. And I think when you put this black on the bottom, to me, it quiets that conversation down, and I think it's more interesting. But can you try that, Hans? Can you put the black on the bottom?
You mean yes, like this,
like that?
Yeah, but then you get the table with.
It's a table.
Yeah. Table with
now it's like a landscape with clouds and the bottle and the table.
Well, I think that the marks in this are really beautiful. I agree with excuse me, everyone. I think the colors and the marks are super interesting. And then I prefer the other piece. I'm with Barbara.
I do too. I
think that the other piece reminds me of Picasso, of the musicians. There's something very open about it. This is a very dense painting. And I think this one is a little bit more, has a little bit more air to it. And this is, for me, I think this one is really interesting too.
I think this one is very successful, though it may seem to be overloaded. I apprehend the beautiful color and the lines. It just seems to work somehow. It's balanced. I like it looks like a small photograph surrounded by red in the upper portion off center right. Yeah, that red square. There's a red square within the black circle. Yeah, that's it. Is that a photograph?
I don't know if it's an intrusion on your process, but did you say you were going to photograph a few times during the painting so we could see it evolve? And did you take any shots of this before it was here today?
I did.
Did you like any of them a lot, or was it feeling incomplete all along until you got here?
I think that's part of my challenge is I don't know when to stop, because there are prior versions of this. Some of them were like really interesting, but I couldn't stop myself. So
nor should you, my dear. Just keep
maybe you were having fun.
Yeah, because I had the same issue as I did with the painting we showed last week, which is I don't think I allow enough space to breathe. Like, there's not a resting space sometimes. It's just a lot. But
No, maybe a suggestion, according to some comments that I've heard now, and Hansen comments, that because you have, I mean, you're starting and trying different things, maybe, whoops, maybe you should try to look at the paintings within the paintings and so simplify the totality by doing excerpts of the, for example, the previous painting where you have that sort of splashing white and like a bird-like figure there, that could become a larger piece or maybe half the size of what you have there. And that would be liberating in a way. I that's a suggestion that you may try. Also, the fact that you have right there in the upper right corner, that section that, is very appealing. And maybe you can also try, and this is up to you, of course, is a reduction of the range of colors that would make it easier to grasp for you. The process would be a little easier, I think.
okay. Wonderful. Thank
So
you so much.
I am in love with this part here.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is, because this is like, I don't know,
It's a burst of color. It's like
right.
fireworks.
Yes, it is really about what abstract art can do. So, I mean, you do it actually, but, it's so many possibilities. It's for me, it puts me into another world. Here, everything which is constructed like this, I think always, is it a tree? Is it an antenna? Is it, you know what I'm saying? It disturbs me a little bit. But I like disturbances, but it disturbs me. It disturbs me in another way, And I like, of course, the circles here. You have many circles, and they create a lot of space and a lot of room, and and everything. For me, it's a bit like a classic abstraction.
Yeah.
90,
Yeah.
it's something we know of. I mean, we know a lot of things anyway. We see a lot and everything, but it's maybe, it's nice, of course. It's very nice. I like that you have air around it,
I like that.
I like this part up here, you see, which it's, I like this type of things too, it's like, it's, it's a painting itself, how the color applies, and that it's, it's like a mural thing. It's nice, there are many, I mean, there are so many nice things happening in those paintings. And maybe, it's hard to think about how can you do less than you do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You have
I
to
agree.
learn to do less instead of more.
I agree.
And that's the point. How can you achieve that? Maybe you should, I don't know, if you prepare dinner, you just go while the spaghettis are cooking, you go to the studio and do 2 strokes, and then you go back, to your bolognese or whatever.
And then you get a stroke.
Because then you get really time, and you will see suddenly, oh, I don't need to do that much, in your painting. I don't know, you have a lot of energy. You have a lot of energy somehow,
A lot of things to say. And so I think it's a good idea to work on 2 or 3 paintings, and you'll get the space that you need, as Hans is suggesting. by being distracted to something else. And then when you come back to the first one, you may have a fresher look. I love this painting. I just think it's bursting with energy. I love the white space around it. I love the fact that it's just too much of a good thing, because it's all a good thing. And I prefer this one to the other one, although that's lovely too. And I agree with Hans about the burst of energy of the yellow. But I do love this painting, and my suggestion is to work on 3 at one time.
Yeah,
Do that.
good suggestion.
I feel like I could walk into this painting.
Yeah,
There's a
Yeah.
center aisle there. You can walk in, and you know the
Yeah.
children's toy structure, the plexiglass, clear plexiglass that interlocks.
yeah.
This a lot of this white on both sides reminds me of that, and it's created a space that you can be inside.
And there's almost a grid-like
Yeah,
structure on top of it that forces you into the painting.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
think this is very successful.
Yeah, and I mean, what's really a good quality you have in here is there is a lot of things going on, but
Yeah.
it's not in that say it's not overloaded. You know, it still feels light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean that's a great thing. You know,
Mhm.
it's not that I'm talking about another overload of things. You know, the colors are beautiful here and everything.
Beautiful.
Very
Yeah.
light, you know,
Yeah.
actually.
Very light.
Can I
Astonishing.
see a close-up of the sort of the upper left-hand side? Yeah,
Here.
right through there.
Mm.
That's a beautiful passage from that pink to that's surrounded with that reddish square around it. Is is this acrylic?
It is.
Yeah,
It has to be.
yeah, I can see why it would have to be. Yeah.
And you did the white lines with a knife, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, I really like that red square that looks like there's a photograph in there, but there it isn't.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
just a nice emphasis, a focal point in the painting. I really think this is wonderful. I love the white space around it. It's very bold and I think very successful. And there's no such thing as an embarrassment of riches. If you got it, flaunt it.
I like how those maybe even pre-Renaissance artists, but they would show off their skills by doing, you know, armor and flowers and fruit and
Right.
you know, and they cram it all into these paintings, right? That I can paint fur and hats and skin and all that stuff. You know, that sometimes more is just fun.
This is surrounded by the white and it ameliorates the more is more.
More is more.
I
Yeah.
love the white spaces around it. The drips. It's complicated and it's very successful.
Yeah. It's very satisfying.
Very,
Yeah.
very.
Yeah.
That's a
But
good
I have
work.
Thank
I
you.
have
Lots of helpful comments. Thank you so much.
I have also a feeling it's almost a study. You know, you could even give a title like homage and then comes about 12 abstract painters. You know?
There you go with your series again.
That's great.
You know, because
Sigh.
you put everything in one painting, you know, and I think it's really interesting. I think you learn a lot, you know, but once you want to become then really successful with a paint, you have to make decisions, you know. Do you want to do you want to end up like this, you know, for
Yes.
instance, you know,
Yes.
because that's a whole world, you know, there.
Yeah.
And you have to make some not now a decision, but you know what I'm saying.
I see.
Or
Yeah.
or you want to go like this. I don't, you know, it's different, you know. It's just different, you know.
I
You
just
know?
received a 60-foot roll of canvas I was
Oh.
thinking maybe what I could do is just cut off maybe a 12-foot piece and
Yes.
then paint and then cut it up.
Yes.
Hey, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Because I
yeah.
have a habit of just of not stopping,
Oh.
Yes.
Do you have the space for it, Si?
in my garage. I do.
Oh.
Is there
Yeah.
any, I hope you don't have a
Yeah.
car in the garage as well.
No, there's no car. There's canvas, paints, music, and a bottle of tequila.
Oh, boy.
Perfect.
Put in a bottle of eau de vie.
Here, I mean, I'm making now a little joke, don't they? You could even put the goldfish in here, and because then it becomes right an aquarium,
It's
it would be great, you know what I'm saying? But you have to make decisions about those things because
Yeah.
there are so
Yeah.
many things going on,
Yeah.
which is great in a way,
Mm.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
maybe it's just a psychological overload. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong.
I doubt it.
I love that one. I think that one is just so beautiful. It's so rich. And everyone's in the more air camp, but to me, that's like a half-eaten box of chocolates, and this is the whole cake. I really like this painting a lot.
Thank
Right.
you.
Hey,
You guys are so generous.
the lower part, also the corner, the lower right corner, is very suggestive of, like you said, Hans, of water.
Yeah.
But it doesn't need, of course, it doesn't need the goldfish, but that's exactly what I love about abstract painting, that is suggestive of things, but it's not quite that.
yeah.
And it's not looking for representational images it's more the feeling of water, the
Mm.
color.
Exactly. And the content is so hard to pin down in abstraction. Is it about space? Is it about color? But you get this feeling in the middle of your body that it's successful and you don't know why.
No, it's for example, here, the movement of water, the colors of water, the deep black of water, so that there is depth, there is splashes there. To me, it's like water, okay?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's, to me, that's a very successful painting corner or painting.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's a beautiful area, that
Yeah,
whole area. Mm.
See, that itself, that is just the lower right-hand area is
Yeah.
a successful painting without the vertical line.
Yeah.
If you,
Right.
yeah, I think it's just so complete from
Yeah.
the vertical line over to the right
Mm.
in its totality. I think it's just so successful.
Yeah.
Mm.
Even the little splash of orange, which
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
complementary color to the blue, to the aquamarine blue. I mean, it's like
And the little dots of
to
white.
that. It's
Yeah,
very interesting as just a detail. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting is because it has to do with light.
Mm.
You are depicting light. And usually what I think that abstract painting is not necessarily depicting light. Abstract painting represents itself as what's on the canvas in a way.
Yep.
It's not pretend, it's not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's
Maybe
not
I'm wrong,
standing. Yeah.
but that's why you are always in this semi-abstract world and not in the abstract world.
Okay, but even an abstract image, I mean, I think that our eyes look for the light as a reference in every image that we see. I mean, we're looking for contrast,
Yes.
and it's a natural behavior to detect light, even in the very dark black paintings. There are painters that are handling that blackness with different levels of light.
Yes.
So that element of light to me is super important in painting. in every sense, you know.
Yes, yes. No, yeah,
Mm.
absolutely, you are right, and I was sort of wrong, and but I try to formulate that maybe another time, you know, to what I mean.
I don't think you're
It's a
wrong.
very interesting argument here that we could have a very interesting a conversation about light in painting.
But you see,
Mm.
when I look at this here, it's clearly, you know, these white dots suggest kind of highlights, you know,
Mm.
and you know, for me, you know, that's an object with highlights on top,
Mm.
you know,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying,
yeah,
and
I
and
do.
and that's not abstract painting. This is
Oh,
this is you know, that's another type.
oh,
Here it's not highlights. There are really dots, you know, here down here. You see, you
mm.
know. But I know, you know, when you look at Richter and also his method, how he does it, of course, light plays always a role,
Uh-huh.
you know, but the light comes through it you know, it's not because you know it comes from itself then in a way,
Yeah,
you
you're
know.
saying it comes from color,
Yeah, it comes
not
right.
from contrast.
Yes, exactly, sort of. Yeah, maybe that's what I mean.
I'd like to
But
suggest
yeah.
that maybe, Lydia, another word for light is meaning. I think that,
Mm.
you know, people look for in all paintings just naturally is meaning. And I think light is a tool that we use, contrast is a tool that we use. But I think our minds are, and that's the difference for me with abstract versus non-abstract. So like when I paint, I'm looking for the paint, just the paint to be interesting. If it looks like something, I paint it out. Whereas I think what Hans is saying, if I may, is that in your painting side, it's not just strictly, you're a figurative painter also, which is nice. You know, like we could tell this is, you know, in water or, you know, like in a wooded area, you know, and like a forest with water. And that, so I think that this, for me, would not be considered fully abstract, meaning I'm seeing things that I think you as a painter want me to see.
If you may say something, I think that we're limiting the meaning of abstraction too much to a very rigid way. I mean, abstraction in a sense has evolved with time. We cannot refer to the concepts of 1960 in terms of abstraction. Abstraction is developing in a way that some critics are, of course, and painters are talking about a abstraction that represents something. And for example, if you look at the statements of many artists that have been abstract expressionists or abstract painters, they sometimes relate to the idea that abstraction is based on nature. So even Frankenthaler, you know, the mountains and sea, you know, after she visited Nova Scotia, then she did mountains and sea. And it's so it's a reference of a feeling of nature. And I think that to consider abstraction to be purely, I don't know how you could even get to the pure abstract unless you go to the minimalist, you know, painters of like wow, now it escapes me that black
Ryman,
Adler.
Ryman,
yes, exactly at Reinhardt. You know that even there you could see different differences in but
Yes.
you know that is that is a very extreme
it is extreme.
I think also a thing of the past. I think it's a thing of the past.
Well, be that as it may, it doesn't speak to all of us. It's so esoteric that it just does not speak to all of us who are seeking perhaps something more grounded in nature than one's own very pinpointed thought. I love Frankenthaler's work, and yes, she does her things based upon nature. There was a suite of her, or there is a suite of her Japanese prints, many blocks, many screens to each one that were exhibited up in Williamstown that Phyllis and I went to, and I think Mark had gone to see. They were masterful, all built on nature. And yeah, it didn't scream trees or water. It was just, it was organic in feeling. It had a grounding. It had a reference that was universal.
Is this a recent exhibition?
No, this was a few years ago. But you might want to look it up. I'm sure you can find it online.
Yes.
They're just absolutely stunning.
Yes, I can imagine.
Yeah.
She was a master in terms of form. She was.
Absolutely.
Like she took it from of course, Motherwell.
Yes.
And other people that she met early on. No?
Met and married.
She was married to Motherwell.
Yeah. And then she threw him away, or he threw her away, whatever.
Yeah.
And then she became a loose woman.
But just on one thing, what I think is very interesting in a way, that, with this color scheme, let's say blue and this thing, you get an effect, which has another meaning than to be abstract. Because, I could say, this is a great example how you can paint gold, a gold color, you see, you can really say, oh, that's beautiful, this blue and this ochre, which is actually, when I look just at the ochre itself, you would say, what is it? This is, but you see, it has even a gold a feeling like gold.
It's a fireworks. It's a display.
Gold, gold, and I think that's not the purpose of an abstract painting, to, what I'm saying, to depict gold, the gold color. That's a problem of the other way of painting, of the reality. How do we mix colors to achieve a gold color, let's say, and that's maybe the difference between a real abstract painting and another painting, because the realism or whatever, will always render reality, through some color tricks in a way, say, oh, look at this is now a gold dress, or a gold or whatever, out of gold, and of course each abstract painting is absorbing light, and therefore it has to do with light. Without light we would not see also an abstract painting. So light plays, of course, a role, that we see a painting, so the light plays a role, of course, I'm not saying the light is not, but here is so much, that's what we then call semi-abstract, sort of, because it triggers other things in your brain, and
But I always want to clarify something that Marie said, or said before, which I was maybe identifying light with meaning, and that's not the way I was approaching this. That's not. I was identifying light with value in the painting in terms of the value of the light of the color, not with meaning. To me, that's a different story,
I really find it a very interesting conversation, and I love what you're saying, Lydia. It's really interesting because I know you really studied, this question a lot. It's just
It gets into the meaning of aesthetics, I think, too. I mean, how do you approach the thing of beauty? How do you approach it so you can apprehend it completely in an abstract or semi-abstract painting? I mean, it's just really complex, and I think it's what you bring to the painting. I mean, sometimes I'm just awestruck. I mean, I'm sure some of you have heard when I first saw de Kooning, I had to sit down. I was so overcome. The woman on the bicycle. I mean, it was just so raw and visceral. I had to sit down. So, I guess it's what you bring to it too, but how do you explain the philosophy of beauty?
Well, I think that if you talk about de Kooning was, to me, again, a master painter of beauty. I mean, he did forget about the idea of the women that he depicted were not
those women.
God,
nice.
He loved women.
But de Kooning was to me so masterful in terms of beauty. He was a master technician and a master craftsman of form. I mean, he was really fantastic. And to me, that I equal that to beauty, of course. And we don't discuss the theme of beauty anymore because it has become like a taboo subject in many minds of recent art. In fact, there is even the term bad art or ugly art, which is very welcome these days. It's just like
Lydia, I must tell you to interrupt you, please. There was in one of the Chelsea galleries pictures that were just so unbelievably awful. Of self-fornication, if you can imagine such a thing, of such, it was just so ugly and it was so repulsive, I should say. Beautifully painted, by the way, but repulsive.
But you forgot the name of the paint.
I did. That's why it made such an impression.
That's not good. You should write it down if you hate it.
I liked what Lydia was saying because I've been told as a student, like the worst thing that you could say about anybody's painting is that's beautiful.
Well, that reflects the mind of the person that said it.
Yeah, that the best compliment you can get about a painting is that's interesting.
I would run away from the class fast. I did that when I started. Well, I took only one class in my life in terms of painting, and it was at the Boston School of the Boston Museum School in Cambridge when I was in Boston, when I was there. We're talking about 1978, okay? And I did, well, I say I'll, try and went into I didn't last for 2 or 3 sessions because I hated what the guy was saying. And I said, no, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to be influenced by, well, of course I was not going to be influenced, but I ran and I never went back to any school. Never.
Dave Hickey, by the way, in Invisible Dragon in 1993, wrote an argument about beauty being taboo and how it was going to be the next thing that people were going to be like the taboo that they would break.
Dave Hickey?
Yeah, his essays are wonderful.
Wonderful guy.
Rest
Yeah,
in
he was, he got ousted from kind of the art criticism group just because he substantiated his ideas of what
Yes.
he thought paintings should be. And he makes a lot of car references, and all this sort of outside references and brings it into the art realm. And I could not get enough of what he had to say. I thought he was a brilliant essayist.
I agree totally.
His
What is the name of
his
this
comment
guy?
and his
Dave
comments on
Hickey.
beauty
I'll put it in the chat.
Please
and,
do.
and his comments on beauty actually caused an uproar.
Yes.
And it was like, why is that? Why is that so? And then he delves into it. It's a very interesting read for anyone that's interested.
Yes.
Published separately as a
He
book of
died too
essays, or
soon.
What?
where can we read his work? Published separately as a book of essays, or
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a book of essays. I'll put both books in the chat.
Okay,
Know about.
Good.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay, now
Thank you.
we
Yes,
go.
hi, beautiful work.
I came
you.
late to the party, so whose paintings were those last two paintings?
Size.
Side. Oh,
Oh, kudos, Sai,
Thank you very much.
Beautiful.
yes.
kudos.
You're not supposed to say beautiful, Marie.
oh,
I don't agree with that. I love it.
Yeah. 1993, we're still waiting, right?
Yeah,
I think if somebody says my painting's interesting, I don't like that.
Oh, that's
interesting.
I like
This
beauty,
seems like a
but-
word that you hedge with.
I guess, yeah.
If you can't be definitive, you say something interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's such an overworked word. It's so overused.
Still replaying your comments. Thank you. Very
So what's next, Hans?
interesting, but I just said.
yes. Now, next.
Dave Hickey, the Invisible Dragon.
Yes.
Next, we go to this piece here. Up. Let me see.
Oh,
Oh, sorry, here.
It's, I felt bad. I normally don't do this, but I felt bad not contributing for weeks upon weeks. So I just threw something in to tell you that I'm alive and I'm trying to work.
Marcia's piece.
So this is just a beginning sketch and I put it aside because I tried to rub it out, but I couldn't because it had dried already. So I'll just paint over it and I'll reuse it. I don't want this.
I show you the other piece also, and then we
Yeah.
go back and forth.
This is unfinished, very unfinished. And it looks like a seething body of water on the bottom because it's so terribly unfinished. But I'm trying to do some shadows and some weed patches and I'll get there.
Is this oil?
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
I love that water there.
It's not water. That's just it. It's not water. I have water paintings.
I know, but I love the water. I love that zone of the painting.
Yeah.
Thank you. I hope it comes out somewhat successfully. But
Are you in the middle of the painting or in the what stage is this?
I just started this yesterday.
oh,
Mhm.
I mean, I did a sketch. I did a number of sketches in my sketchbook and I have photos, but I just started this yesterday.
I think there's a lot of interest and there's a lot of depth. I really like, besides the water, I like that too. But I think that the way that you bring us as the viewer through that arch, which is interesting, all the way to the mountains is really well done.
Just a gimmick.
Is this taken from a photograph?
Yes.
Okay. To me, it shows that it's taken from a photograph.
Sure.
but in a sense, you know, we may be, you know, too tied to the reality of the photograph.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And how do you jump from that image of a photograph to a painting that is a painting in itself?
It's really hard. I'm still grappling with it to get away from the abject, the absolute reality to something that caused me to take the picture in the first place.
Well, if you think of I mean, I may say, if you think of color as a or even value as a way of upsetting that idea of reality, you know, you might be able to get a little bit away from the photograph idea. By that I mean that well, that's a different, that's
very different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a line sketch for, yeah, a drawing for that.
It's a drawing.
Yeah.
I think I like always, Marcia, the more simple you don't. I think this is a wonderful drawing, you know, of an architectural thing. And here it's, you took him also from a photograph, but it doesn't show. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't show.
Oh, really?
Because, yeah, because it has more to do with the whole composition of this camera.
It's actually very different from the photograph.
Okay, that makes it very interesting, you know.
Well, you know, I just felt it was confining, and I just put it aside.
No, I think it's interesting because here you have like these windows, and here you have like this round arch. You know, it's like, and then you have also this part, which is another arch too, which you don't see. You see only one part of it. I mean, you know, the elements are already much more interesting because here you know, I don't know where you want to go.
Me either.
It's hard to, and you know, maybe
you know, allow me. It's difficult to put an unfinished or what you think is just a rough sketch up without, you know, it's so terribly incomplete. There are no darks, there aren't enough lights. It's just not done. And the colors are not quite right. But, you know, I just felt I had to put something up.
Okay.
No, but this is very interesting as a way of conversation in terms of process and what you might do or not do, or what you know, I think it's interesting that you're presenting a step in your process.
Well, for lack of a completion of the process, thank you, Lydia.
But
it's just, you know, Hansen, it goes by the series that you suggested. And as I progress, there was one time I think I did a series of 10 or 12 paintings of the same subject. The last one was the best one because it was less realistic and more driven by color and shape. And it's just hard to let go of those things.
Let me see if I can find it, maybe. You know, let me see if I can just.
I'd like to say something if I'm while Hans is looking.
Yeah, say something while
I think that I think that.
Oh, I was
getting back to interest, Marcia. What I liked about the original sketch that you had done is that the shapes are really interesting. And no, it's, you know, not,
I love
it's a great composition and the shapes are different and unusual. I think that the reason why I like the water in this piece,
And it's not water.
no, but I'm saying isn't
Oh, you know what? The
Or the
Chirico can put a building on water. So maybe it'll be like a pseudo the Chirico.
No, but you know what happens is that I'm sorry to interrupt, that piece looks like a very loosely painted area, which means that it's almost like an abstraction of water. And if you think of the painting that you're doing right there, that one, make it more abstract, you're going to achieve a detachment from that photograph reference.
right. That's what I was gonna say.
I'm going to achieve a what?
It did it a lot better. It makes
You're
it
going to
different.
be detached from the image of the photograph. You're going to leap beyond the photograph.
I hope so.
That's what thank you, Lydia. That's what I was trying to say.
That was the first one.
That's good. Yeah.
So that was the last time.
Yeah, that was
And
last
I
week.
think we had a lot of talk about it,
Yeah.
and we liked it very much because it's very an interesting, nice piece, simple and dangerous level. Hold on.
Oh my goodness, something dangerous has happened.
Yeah, on my
has occurred.
computer.
It's
Hold
about
on.
to explode.
We've
Yeah,
lost
hold on.
recording.
My interesting photo is about to explode.
Hold on. I have to.
Head for the hills, guys.
No, but Marcia, that's the point though,
Sorry
is
for a moment. I need to.
it took something that was more
Okay.
traditional and the water or making it abstract takes it out of that. So it's a little bit more interesting. Because
Sorry.
It's confusing.
yeah, which is
If
interesting.
that Reese's water is confusing.
Exactly, which is tricky and tricky is interesting, confusing
Not
is
necessarily. Interesting means, different things to different people. And it's like I said, it's a really overworked word. But I just think it's kind of dumb.
Sort of. Yeah.
okay.
Hold on a second. I need to.
I'll get there, but after like 5 or 6 paintings, maybe I'll get there.
Well, you always get there. You're a great painter.
No, not necessarily. I wish I did.
Sort of. I
Challenge
have to
yourself.
hold on a second. I mean, you don't have to hold on discussing, but I have to. Do you see something on the screen? No.
We see you.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's good. Okay. But because my computer is right now.
We see you and 2 dots, 2 white dots,
Yeah.
2 white dots.
2 white dots.
Yeah,
Yes, the white dots have been there since the beginning.
Yeah. Oh, you have it too, Barbara?
Yeah.
The eyes of the idol are watching us.
Oh, dear.
No.
I need to.
Where
I
do
can't control the
you see
computer.
the dots? Or where do you see the dots?
Bottom center.
Yes, exactly. Bottom center.
Oh, does that mean that there are more people on your gallery than you see?
Let's see what happens when I open the gallery. Nope, it doesn't do anything.
They're still there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Marcia, I'm not sure I can express this exactly, but what I like about the earlier sketches and painting is the abstraction of forms. It's just really lovely. All these beautiful the play of these geometric forms. And then your current painting has become more literal. And
Yeah.
I think, as Lydia says, it reflects more as a photograph.
Yeah.
Because of literalness.
Yeah. And that's what I fight with.
Have you ever tried to use a different type of paintbrush where it was longer, or to force yourself to just not get the perfection that you sometimes are frustrated with?
Oh, yeah.
How about your other hand? if you're lefty, go righty, and if you're righty, go lefty. Have you ever done that?
I can't really do that, Cliff.
Oh, you you could do it. You might have fun doing it. It would certainly
No,
produce
I can't do that.
You won't. You don't want to do that.
No, I can't do that. Just leave it alone. My hand is deformed.
Oh, because I don't know, the brush strokes you get whenever I try to do something odd and go to my other hand, the brush strokes are usually very creative because I'm not able to control it. Yeah.
Well, that's a good idea. It's just that I can't do it.
Okay. It's just an idea.
I just wanted to mention also that Marcia has a backlog of absolutely beautiful representational work. So I just want to mention that.
Yes.
Well,
Thanks.
these recent years of delving into abstraction. So it's not that she can't do a very representational piece. She can. She's trying to find that middle ground, I think. Am I right about that?
Yeah, more than a middle ground. It's just really hard. I need another 25 years, which I don't have.
Oh, don't we all?
I just don't have it, you know?
Think how good we could all be with 25 more years.
You know, if I had 25 more years, maybe I would get there.
You know, I think it all depends on the kind of person you are or your character, whether you go one way or the other.
Yeah.
We don't have to force ourselves to go one way, which is not our way.
Yeah.
For example, I was teaching at a point in a school, the New World School of the Arts in Miami, Florida. And it was a painting class, and there was a student. I asked for students to bring their portfolios to see what they had done before. And there was a student there that was hiding the portfolio, and we were doing these paintings that were like more abstract. And I said, may I look at your portfolio? When I saw the portfolio, there was a series of drawings that were very elaborate in ink and pencil, you know, very elaborate. And I said, but how come if you're drawing like this, you paint like this? And the painting was very abstract and very loose and whatever. And he said to me, this is what we're told to do in this school. And I said to him, don't let anyone tell you which direction to go in your paintings. And the point is that because we have different sensibilities, may lead us into different ways of painting. And maybe I haven't seen your other paintings, but maybe that's why you are Marcia, you are thinking that you cannot do this well and you need more years. You don't need more years. Maybe you need to do your thing the way you always wanted to do it. You know what I mean?
I do. Thank you for that.
We all need more years. I'm claiming for my extra years too. You know, I'm going crazy, working very hard to see if I can beat the time. You know,
The clock is ticking, my dear.
yeah, I know it's clicking.
I believe also, Marcia, that you have really such in simplicity. You are good with those drawing like paintings. Let me see if we can look at this again. You know, this is, for me, this is just enough. You know, for me, and because in this other piece here you become sort of literal, and you are confused. Yeah, you know, it's like you know, I mean, I like the part also. This is water, you know, but then maybe you should really make just a water piece down here, and then juxtapose with this architectural thing on top, and then you get maybe also a great painting out of it, you know.
You know,
but
Say that again, Hans. I didn't quite follow you.
This is just it's confusing, you know. It's here it's clear because it's simple and clear for me, and for me, I like all your sketches, which are very simple. They are just. I think you could concentrate on those simple things in a way, which is so clear architectural and just you know, open so much different spaces, and I don't need always a horizon and a mountain. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I see, you know, this is so symbolic. You have two. Where are you going? Here or here? You know, that's so typical for life. We don't know. At the same time, we are already under this arch. You know, I mean, you know, what more symbolism do you want? You know,
but this is
that's
not
my
a
point.
painting, Hans.
Sorry.
To me, this is not a painting. To me, this is a drawing.
It is a drawing.
Yeah, but for me that's fine. If you have a nice drawing, which for me that's fine. I have no problem. I have no problem.
It doesn't have to be on a canvas. It could be in a sketchbook.
No, I say okay. I'll find probably artwork, you know, which deals with the drawing on a canvas. Very simple stuff.
Oh, well, you know,
you don't need to paint all the. But you have here even, you see, you have even this thin layer of color on top. You know, I mean, this is a painting. For me, it's
okay.
So for me, it's not. Of course, you know, things are sometimes not so clear, but for me, for me, it's a painting.
Okay.
Basically, even there is no thick color on it, you know.
Can you put the other painting on again? The one that is more representational?
The weird one.
That, yeah. Well, if you want, you know, if I may say, what I would do to this painting to maybe reduce the problems that we're seeing in the painting, and I don't know if you're willing or interested in hearing that, but
of course,
what I would do is to make it simpler. Is
yes,
take the whole. The problem is that the eye shoots immediately to the perspective and the horizon. What I would do there is put a wall that terminates the painting that is the same or ochre color, or just block the whole thing out there to bring that plane forward. So in a sense, you're reducing that tension of the eye going backwards, no? Then, you know, I would maybe consider the colors of the left wall with the door and the blue, consider changing that a little bit. So then it becomes a different painting. It's about the arch. It's about the arch that leads, well, it may lead into a hallway or a dead-end street or something, but not to the landscape that draws the eye in and is conflictive. And it's going to be difficult to resolve paint in terms of painting. The way to render that versus the way of rendering the foreground, you know?
I've done that. I've done that successfully, I think, in a couple of paintings. That's a good idea. And I just blocked it out with my finger. You're absolutely right. I should take, and Hans is right. The mountains, the trees have to go. I don't know if I necessarily agree with the bright color. I could try it. Like
the bright, you mean bright color? You mean the yellow, the yellow?
No, I mean blocking out the mountains as you suggested with a wall.
Yes, the whole thing in my eyes has to go. It has to go.
Yeah.
Because the eye goes there, and that's the problem. That's not the focus of the painting, maybe.
The focus is the arch between the mountains and the blue wall, sort of breaking the flow.
Yeah.
Say that again, the focus of
the blue of the sky and the mountains. goes back and forth with the blue wall, breaking up the flow. I don't know if you agree with that.
You know, it's unfinished. I would bring the blue back in another area, but I do put the colors in all around the painting so that they seem to be more unified. But it's just it's a work in progress, and I'm taking out the mountains. I'm taking them out, and you know, maybe I'll do another one and it will be looser. I don't know. Maybe it won't. But Hans, do you have that series that I did with the street in Italy?
Yeah, I don't know. I would have to look through all the files now. I don't know when that was exactly.
Okay.
But
that was, I thought that was somewhat successful.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to say, I want to, regarding what you thought was a drawing, this piece, I find this like really successful as is. And part of it, besides like the geometry of like all these shapes are really kind of wonderful, as opposed to the unfinished painting that you've shown, is that I want to fill in all the blanks. I want to fill in what's behind that door. I want to fill in what's in that window. All that stuff is just kind of marvelous, and how successful this is as a minimal kind of painting, still representational. And I find it to be extremely successful. And you look at the painting that you did and you say, I want to get rid of this, I want to get rid of that. Kind of like saying the same thing. What you want to do is actually kind of get to where this is already. And it's quite beautiful.
Yes, I agree. Yes, that's also.
Yeah, it's got all that stuff going on with just the minimal amount of line and color. It's really, really nice.
And it creates so much space also, and perspective, and everything is there, you know.
It's all there. I want to, like
which you don't here. It's like it's not really it's not interesting, really. I mean, the most interesting part is this huge arch, but as Lydia said, you know, you have to get rid of those things here. It's just make a wall, and then maybe it becomes a humongous arch. You know, you have to simplify those things. It's like
on the water, in the middle of the water.
Yeah.
Leave the water. I love leave the water.
The Curico lives
the Curico
in Larchmont, New York.
Is that where you are, Larchmont?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you can, maybe you have to integrate the goldfish in here, you know.
Some gold coins, perhaps.
Okay. No, but it's interesting. I mean, you know, they are very symbolic paintings in a way, you know.
Symbolic?
Yeah, because an arch is always symbolic. You go to another world, you come from another world. You know, it's very symbolic, you know.
And like, it's the cornerstone of architecture in a way. That's the wrong phrasing of terms. Cornerstone, how could a cornerstone be an arch? But when I looked at those Gothic churches that were built in like the year 1000 and the year 1100, and I see those clumsy arches with the big thick columns, I said, well, this was the start of it. You know, I mean, that was the start of the soaring buildings.
You know, Marcia, I'm sure that when you were there and you took that photograph, you were delighted with this view through the arch of the mountains.
Yeah.
And that, you know, that was the experience that you wanted to convey in the painting.
Yes.
But the problem is that you walked through that arch and you got to the mountains, and in a painting, we cannot do that. We cannot walk through the arch. So the painting is a different reality to the one you lived. The painting now is the reality others are going to live, and that's the image that you have to work on. You know, it's not the one you had in your head. It's not possible to almost replicate that, you know? So that what I'm trying to
You
say.
mean that delight, that sense of wonder?
Yeah, no, but that it has to happen in painting in a different way. You know, using the vocabulary of painting. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
I do, but I don't know how to do it.
Well, it's a path that we all have to follow, and it's like a very interesting path to discover what the painting is as such without a reference to the reality that you saw. You know, maybe it's a different reality, but the painting itself is different to the reality that you saw. So by simplifying the image, then you get to a possibility of that, you know.
Okay, I'll try.
Okay.
We're done.
So now, very nice. You know now, Marcia.
Oh yeah, I know a lot now.
Another arch you have to go through.
Well, I would like to say something also.
I'm gonna get my razor out and slash into ribbons.
No,
Don't
I think
there.
Barbara really hit it, you know, the head of the nail on the head, whatever. She got it right, because many of you haven't seen Marcia's work over the years. She is a consummate artist, and she is so great, especially with architectural forms and color. And so
Stop.
no,
I love to see it. Yeah, I love to see
It's
it.
hyperbole. Stop.
No.
it's just true. And I give you a lot of credit for trying to really do new things and explore. And I agree with what Lydia is saying.
I do.
And I also agree that it's great to just get out of your comfort zone. So it's great to do both.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you're
25 more years is what I need. Can I even get that for me?
I hope you get that too.
Oh God.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Now
my
you
keep
talk
reminding me that they're doing longevity studies all the time to just hang in there.
So since
Bye-bye,
we
Ficken.
talk, since we talk about nails and hitting the nail on the head or whatever, I want to show you something
What a segue, kid.
of an artist which just died a week ago. Let me see if I can share that.
Is this
Where is
current?
Sorry?
Is it current in the gallery?
No, it's not current in it shows everywhere. But you don't, it's a movie, a small movie, but I don't know computer audio. I know. You don't have to really, share sound is here. Just watch it. Hold on.
Sure.
It's over here.
I'm gonna have to say goodbye now.
No,
So
not right now. Wait a second until this is done.
Und ein weiterer Künstler ist gestorben. Vor allem seine Nagelbilder machten den Maler und Objektkünstler Günther Uecker weltweit bekannt. Im Alter von 95 Jahren starb er gestern in seiner Wahlheimat Düsseldorf. Aufgewachsen in Mecklenburg-Vorpommern fand der gelernte Handwerker nach dem Krieg seinen eigenen Weg in die künstlerische Avantgarde und wurde zu einem ihrer renommiertesten deutschen Vertreter.
Er schlug Nägel ein sowie andere Striche ziehen und damit schuf er unverwechselbare Bilder. Günther Uecker war ein Star der Kunstwelt. Seine Werke sind rund um den Globus zu sehen, erzielen bei Auktionen schon mal Preise in Millionenhöhe. Ähnlich viele Nägel dürfte er verbraucht haben.
Ich habe gesehen.
Das ist ja hier ein verlängerter Bleistift, wie man zeichnet, nur ist das plastisch zu sehen, nicht? Es ist eine plastische Notation, die, wenn das Licht einfällt, auch das Licht modelliert, sodass der Tagesablauf wirklich wie eine Sonnenuhr empfunden werden kann und man den kosmischen Zusammenhang auch begreift.
Seine Kunstwerke hängen auch im Berliner Reichstagsgebäude im von ihm gestalteten Andachtsraum. Die meterhohen Nagelreliefs sind Zeugnisse seiner kreativen Kraft. Seit 1955 war Düsseldorf sein Lebensmittelpunkt. Günther Uecker war ein außergewöhnlicher Künstler. Für ihn waren Nagelfelder auch tagebuchähnliche Seelenlandschaften, die er Empfindungswerte aus der Zeit nannte.
Alles, was in meiner Umgebung war, habe ich immer verarbeitet. Wie man als Kind so Töpfe geschlagen hat, nicht? Oder bei Umzügen oder irgendwo im Atelier standen und sagten, das kombinierst du mit dem. Nicht? Das ist einfach nur Randal.
Seiner mecklenburgischen Heimat blieb er immer treu. Noch im hohen Alter gestaltete er 4 große blaue Glasfenster für den Schweriner Dom, die im vergangenen Jahr eingeweiht wurden.
Good heavens.
Oh, that's Günther Uecker. You know him, right?
I have seen his stuff.
What is the
Exactly.
last name?
Uecker. Uecker. Günther Uecker. He's from Düsseldorf. He was very famous, with his nail things, and he died last week. And I just saw that from the German news channel, TV channel. But he's very famous with his Nagelbilder.
Is that Uecker his last name or his first name?
His last name.
Okay.
Just nail. You can just nails. Google nails and.
Mr. Google will.
It's very famous. His stuff is going for millions, and
Really?
Yeah. It's international. Very, very famous.
Well, his heirs will be very wealthy.
Oh, I was just
on that note,
it's beautiful. I have to bite my tongue.
I have also some. I was at the Art Basel, and we are soon finished with our broadcast, but I show you maybe a couple of things I was interested or saw, which I thought has something to do also with drippings. We talked last time about drippings, and so I saw a painter. Her name is Maria Maiolino, and she did really. Let me see where they are here.
She's from Portugal. Portugal, no?
Yeah, could be. She's a Brazilian artist. So I show you these paintings.
Yeah, I've seen.
It's very interesting. Hold on a second. Where is my share thing again? My computer. Yeah, let's see. Hold on, it's here. And it's blinking down here. You see.
Oh my.
This, we talked about, dripping when you use drippings.
This is controlled.
Do you know, Sai?
Yes.
Last time we talked about, how can dripping, and I thought this is so funny, Yeah, I think it's wonderful, you see. Dealing also with drips, but in a very, as Marcia said, controlled way.
Yeah.
I thought it was very intriguing, very simple.
Yeah. How the hell did she do it?
That's one piece. Let me see if there is another one. That's her name. You see, Maria.
Yeah,
Maiolino.
it's acrylic ink over canvas. Acrylic paint on canvas.
Yeah, now I have another one. Oh, hold on. Where is that here in the folder? I have a little mess, but Here is the other one. You see,
Oh,
I think it's very interesting and nice. You look,
I think it's creepy.
yeah, you know. But you see, I mean,
Oops.
again, oh my God.
Your AI is getting in the way.
Hold on. Yeah, I have an overload here. But maybe we can look at this next time, because it doesn't make sense. I have now memory problems. Well done.
I have memory problems, but they're not on screen.
I have to stop there.
Can I ask a quick question of something that Lydia said earlier that I would like help with?
Yes.
The question to Lydia, it was when there's something that attracts you, like the photo of Marcia's, and you wanna you really are kind of entranced with it. You said that you can use color or value as a way to get away from reality. That's your quote. Can you recommend anything for me to look at that would be helpful in being able to get away from a representation using just color and value?
Well, immediately I think of, for example, I think of Matisse. I mean, this is a very large sort of a area of interest and references and everything, and I could be more specific based on images that are specific so that I can talk about it. But Matisse brought, by bringing the wall and the floor together as a plane, he was based he was based in a reality of the interior of his home and studio. But then he brings it all together into a plane, and the color is even from floor to, wall. And also the value of the colors is similar. So, you have this uniformity in many of his paintings that at the end, it's like the one of the examples that I can think of. But, you're doing more abstract work. So, but is I don't know if you're interested in going towards more representational work and that, yeah. Anyway, it was wonderful to be here with you, but I really have to go now because I had, pending things, and it was great talking to all of you again and about painting, my favorite subject on earth, like all of you.
I hope you come back, Lydia.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Much,
Bye.
Lydia.
Bye.
Please come back, Lydia.
Yeah,
Thank you.
bye, Lydia. Yeah.
Thank you.
See you soon. So I thought it was an interesting discussion. We had many things to think about, and
Yes.
and maybe to make example. Maybe we have to read sometime also more like what artists really what statement they made, what they thought. All artists' statements are also contradictory.
Yes.
Anyway, it's even in politics, everywhere, everything is contradictory at the end. You can't make one clear thing. It's always the other side is also included. That's the interesting thing in a way. Even they are so sometimes convincing when you think about them. You think, yeah, but it doesn't, doesn't work. I find that always so interesting, But so maybe we say goodbye to our audience, right? Or do you want to send a message to the world?
Keep painting.
Keep painting. Okay.